You've probably seen them before. Groups of bikers, clad in matching leather, tearing down highways in fearless formations. Most of the time, it'll just be motorcycle enthusiasts, but every now and then, lethal biker gangs are also on the road. In today's episode, we will take a deeper look at the never-ending biker war between the Bandidos and the Comancheros in Australia. Get ready for a chilling story or two and make yourself comfortable. Now, without further ado, let's get started. The Bandidos-Comancheros conflict. Our story begins after the Vietnam War, a time of major social changes and shifts in culture. The Comancheros were founded by William George "Jock" Ross, a former soldier, in the late 1960s. They represented a rebellion against traditional society, attracting those who felt out of place and offering them a sense of identity and community. Moving to the early 1980s, the Bandidos formed from internal disagreements within the Comancheros about leadership and the direction of the club under Ross's strict control. Anthony "Snodgrass" Spencer, a leader unhappy with Ross's authoritative style, led a group that split off. They connected with the American Bandidos, making a statement on an international level. In Australia, the Bandidos are recognized as an outlaw motorcycle gang by the Australian Federal Police. Extensive investigations have linked them to illegal distribution and other criminal activities. The first Australian chapter of the Bandidos was established in Sydney in August 1983. The club has around 400 members in 45 chapters across the country, including people from various ethnic backgrounds. The Milperra Massacre, also known as the Milperra Biker Conflict or the Father's Day Tragedy, this deadly shootout occurred on September 2nd, 1984, in Milperra, a suburb of Sydney, and coincided with Father's Day in Australia. It was mainly fueled by tensions after several Comancheros left to form the first Australian chapter of the Bandidos. The violent clash resulted in 7 deaths and 28 injuries and led to significant changes in firearm laws in New South Wales. It is believed that the battle started over disputes about territory control or drug trafficking. The situation worsened when Colin "Caesar" Campbell, an important member, discovered Ross in a compromising situation with another member's wife. As the club's enforcer, he demanded Ross answer for breaking one of the club's major rules. Ross's failure to attend the initial meetings and his sudden decision to split the club during another meeting deepened the divide. Those who wanted to hold Ross accountable stayed at the original clubhouse, while Ross and his followers set up a new base. Tensions increased during the club's Christmas party in 1983, leading to more violence and eventually a split. Spencer, encouraged by the respect shown by the U.S. Bandidos during a visit, reached out to their national president, Ronnie Hodge, and got permission to start the first Australian chapter. The new Bandidos members then symbolically burned their old Comanchero colors. Hostilities continued, including attacks on clubhouses, until a phone call in August declared open conflict. An advertisement for a British motorcycle club swap meet was placed in local media, scheduled at the Viking Tavern on the morning of September 2nd, 1984. By early afternoon, 19 armed Comancheros had hidden around the venue. Using walkie-talkies, Ross tried to trap the Bandidos using military-like tactics. However, the appearance of a rival group disrupted his plans. The Bandidos, arriving later than expected and equally armed, were initially surprised but quickly organized to confront Ross. The standoff turned violent with gunfire and melee fighting. Despite no formal battle lines, the conflict was fierce and chaotic, with involvement from some members' partners, though this was not widely reported. The brawl lasted several minutes until the police arrived, finding a chaotic scene and several casualties, including a young bystander among the injured. The aftermath overwhelmed law enforcement and medical personnel, leading to major legal and medical repercussions for many involved. Following the Milperra Massacre, which became one of the largest criminal trials in Australian history, significant gun law reforms were implemented to prevent future tragedies. This incident also reignited rivalries, showing the long-lasting impact of such violent confrontations on community safety and public policy. Hey you there! Yes, you! If you've watched so far, it must mean that you're finding value in our content. If you do, consider liking this video and subscribing to our channel. Don't forget to tap the bell icon to stay updated with our latest uploads. Your support helps us keep creating content like this. Thank you for watching. The Rock Machine Rebels conflict. This ongoing dispute between the Rock Machine and Rebels motorcycle clubs started in 2009 in Perth, Western Australia. Both groups are competing for control over territory and illegal operations. At its peak in the 2000s, the Rebels Motorcycle Club was the largest in Australia, claiming the country as their territory and often clashing with other clubs for national dominance. The first Rock Machine chapter in Australia was established as a nomads chapter chapter in 2008. By early 2009, the Rock Machine had set up a New South Wales chapter in Sydney, and later a chapter in the Perth suburb of Myrie, led by then Rock Machine MC Canada president, Critical J. The move of several Rebels MC members to Rock Machine MC sparked a prolonged and violent rivalry between the two factions. In December 2009, it was announced that the notorious Canadian motorcycle club, the Rock Machine Motorcycle Club, had launched a chapter in Perth, initially operating from a Cardinia gym as their base. This move was seen as a hostile act by the Australian-based Rebels Motorcycle Club, leading to threats and hostile exchanges online between the two clubs. Tensions escalated on July 10, 2010, when a fight broke out at a metropolitan nightclub involving both groups, resulting in multiple injuries. The conflict intensified with the torching of a vehicle owned by a full-patch member of the Rebels Motorcycle Club in October 2010. On November 5, 2010, a clash involving 20 members from the two groups occurred at a mixed martial arts event at Joondalup Arena, leaving several rebels injured. On November 12, 2010, 15 full-patch members of the Rebels Motorcycle Club rode through Fremantle's entertainment district, aiming to provoke an incident with the Rock Machine. On November 16, 2010, the Ink Assault, a tattoo parlor owned by the Rebels, was firebombed with Molotov cocktails around 3 a.m. A Rock Machine member was arrested in connection with the arson. On November 19th of the same year, another vehicle belonging to a Rebels member was destroyed by firebombing. On November 21st, 2010, Rock Machine MC members ransacked and vandalized a house in southern Perth owned by a Rebels MC member, causing extensive damage and stealing several items. On November 26, 2010, a member of the Rebels and two members of the rival Rock Machine were charged over a fight near the Royal Fremantle Golf Club in East Fremantle. A senior Rebels member, who was allegedly attacked with a large torch and pepper spray by Rock Machine members, was later acquitted after proving his actions were in self-defense. On November 29, 2010, a Rock Machine member was charged after police found a large cache of high-powered firearms in his car during a traffic stop on Mounts Bay Road in Crawley. The weapons included rifles, shotguns, and fitting ammunition. On January 22, 2011, a brawl erupted between members of both clubs at the Clink nightclub in Fremantle, resulting in several injuries. The following day, a Spearwood tattoo parlor, the Lost Tattoo, owned by a Rock Machine member, was ransacked by Rebels members. The manager was assaulted and the office was trashed. On January 24th, police used an armored vehicle to breach the front gate of the Rebels Osborne Park chapter clubhouse, causing significant structural damage as part of their investigations. Police deployed stun grenades to gain entry, although no evidence was found during the raid. On February 3, 2011, increased police presence was mandated around the Perth courthouse as members of both the Rebels and Rock Machine gathered during a court appearance by a Rock Machine member. A Rebels member was arrested for disorderly conduct outside the court. On February 12, 2011, members of the Rock Machine visited a Rebels-owned establishment, the Pink Duck Bar in Rockingham, attempting to confront members of the Rebels MC. No Rebels were present. However, a manager had to lock himself in an office to evade them. On February 25, 2011, police raided the Rock Machine MC's Myrie chapter clubhouse, seizing large quantities of powerful high-grade explosives, enough to demolish a large building. This discovery led to accusations that Rock Machine Canada was involved in supplying the explosives. On March 18, 2011, Rebels WA President Nick Martin survived an assassination attempt by the Rock Machine when he was shot through the elbow outside his Perth home. On March 24, 2011, simultaneous police raids targeted both the Rebels and Rock Machine across 9 separate properties in Australia, resulting in the seizure of over a dozen illegal firearms, a military practice mortar, and various rounds of ammunition. Only 2 members from the groups were charged during these raids, but a Rock Machine member was later accused of the earlier shooting of the Rebels president. In 2012, the Rock Machine opened their second chapter in Perth, the City Crew Perth, or South Perth chapter, after several members of the Finks Motorcycle Club defected to the Rock Machine MC. The Finks also maintained an ongoing rivalry with the Rebels Motorcycle Club. In 2013, Rock Machine Australia and New Zealand patched over to the Bandidos MC and returned their charters to Canada. 4-club policy in the Mongrel Mob conflict. During the 1980s, Western Australia hosted 4 outlaw motorcycle clubs: Club Deros, Gypsy Jokers, God's Garbage, and the Coffin Cheaters. All except for the Gypsy Jokers were founded in WA. In 1989, 1989, these four clubs united to forcefully remove the New Zealand-based street gang, the Mongrel Mob, which was trying to gain a foothold in Perth. The conflict intensified over 5 days when Selwyn Werepapa, a prominent figure in the Perth Mongrel Mob, was hurt in an attack on the gang's metal workshop using 2 kilograms of gelignite. In retaliation, the Mongrel Mob attempted to blow up a tattoo parlor associated with the Gypsy Jokers. The subsequent evening, police conducted raids on 3 properties, detaining 7 individuals, including Werepapa, who was found with firearms, baseball bats, and narcotics. 2 days after the raids, Werepapa suffered a gunshot wound to the groin in the suburb of Swan View. Gypsy Joker Paul Hugo and God's Garbage member Ronald Scott were apprehended and charged with assault occasioning actual bodily harm, a move that ultimately compelled the Mongrel Mob to withdraw from Perth. Other conflicts. Aside from these major confrontations, numerous smaller skirmishes and feuds continue to plague Australia. Conflicts between the Mongols and Rock Machine, as well as between the Comancheros and both the Rebels and Hells Angels, create a constantly shifting landscape of alliances and rivalries. These conflicts are often characterized by sporadic violence and are fueled by disputes over territory, personal slights, and the ever-present drive to dominate the criminal underworld. In conclusion, the biker wars in Australia are a stark reminder of the deep-seated rivalries and extensive criminal activities that these motorcycle clubs engage in. Despite ongoing police efforts and occasional public outcry, the culture of violence and retaliation persists, rooted deeply in the identities of these outlaw gangs. As these wars unfold, they continue to leave a trail of destruction and fear, challenging law enforcement and endangering public safety. Now, with these biker conflicts in Australia in mind, which biker gang do you think is the most lethal one in Australia? And which conflict do you think will last longer? Comment down below. Thank you for watching all the way till the end. For more true crime deep dives, subscribe, hit the bell icon, and click on the card shown on your screen right now.